Are you looking to become a better real estate investor? Then hang on, because you're about to experience another episode of the world's most popular real estate podcast, the Bigger Pockets Podcast. But before we get to this week's show, I wanted to invite you to become part of our community, biggerpockets.com, the real estate investing social network. The membership is free, and you'll instantly gain access to networking opportunities, educational content, investor tools, and more. Sign up now and get a free copy of our book, The Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Real Estate Investing, read by hundreds of thousands of budding entrepreneurs. Just click this link right here, or just head to biggerpockets.com. With that, let's get to the show.
This is the Bigger Pockets Podcast, show 155.
You're listening to Bigger Pockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from biggerpockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
What's going on, everybody? This is Josh Dorkin, host of the Bigger Pockets Podcast, here for the last show of 2015.
Wow. That was a pretty epic intro.
It was.
Happy New Year, Josh.
Oh, by the way, welcome to my co-host.
Oh, thanks.
Mr. Brandon Turner. What's going on, Brandon?
Not much. I'm looking forward to 2016, personally.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is crazy. I feel like it was like January, like a day ago.
Well, I mean, like, for me, I'm still kind of wrapped up in the, hey, Y2K is coming. What's going to happen when year 2000 gets here? Like, wait,
that's because you're old.
We're at 2016. Like, this year, I'm like, I'm going to be 40 this year.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that you were that old.
This is...
I remember when my dad turned 40.
I remember when my dad was 40 and I thought he was old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this is...
I can't wait till that show. We're going to have fun there.
Well, anyway, hey, man, we got a really fun show today.
It is really fun.
He's a great guy. And
super successful. Like,
oh, yeah.
Crazy successful. And
this is like,
inspiring.
Set your mind to it, do it, and like, no bull, no excuses. Just like, if there's a will, there's a way, and anybody can be successful if they try. And the show is awesome. Yeah. So I'm super excited. Yeah. Well, speaking of guys who are rocking it, let's kind of get to today's quick tip. Yes. Today's quick tip, guys, is this. 2016 is here. It's upon us. If you have not yet set your goals for 2016, you are so far behind already. Get on there. There's a little guilt trip for you. No, get it together. Seriously, sit down, bust out some paper, and write down your goals. And I'm talking not just for real estate. Do this for your personal life. Do this for real estate. Do this for your other job. Whatever it is that you do in life. Set down your goals. Take some time. Take a few hours. Do it with your family. Do it solo, however it works for you. And plan out your year and decide what you're going to get done and how you're going to do it. Because people who set their goals are far more successful than those who do not. People who plan tend to be far more successful. And if you're planning, you are behind the ball. Get it done.
My wife and I,
is today's quick tip.
My wife and I have a tradition. Every year we go out to this little we go to this little place. It's like this beach town called Seabrook. It's out on the coast of Washington State, and there's this little burger joint there, and it has these really, really good burgers and French fries or whatever. Anyway, our tradition for 4 years in a row now, I think, and we go out there every New Year's Eve, and or was it New Year's Day? Oh, I got to remember now.
You always tell me we sat down, did our goals.
We sat down and we do our goals until we have really defined goals for the year, and it's actually one of the things I look forward to most every year. I just sitting down reviewing last year and going over next year. So we're recording this a couple weeks early, so we will be doing that in the next couple weeks. Should be fun.
Awesome.
Right.
Cool beans, man. Good deal. All right.
Did you just say cool beans?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. That just happened.
All right. Do the show before it goes even more downhill.
Yeah. All right, let's do this thing. Well, today's guest is Sharad Mehta. I didn't ask him how to say his last name.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It's Sharad.
That's it.
Sharad. And Sharad is
hilarious.
He is funny as hell. You got to listen to his stories. He's got some awesome stuff to share. He's got some amazing tips. and definitely recommend tuning in. This is a guy who owns hundreds of he's done hundreds of deals.
Over 200 and some deals, including owns 50 rentals free and clear, and like
free and clear. Yeah.
Amazing. And all in the last
5 years.
5 years.
5 years.
And he learned it all from somewhere that you guys probably recognize. We'll get to there.
Yeah, and we didn't actually know that, which is the coolest part. I'm like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, awesome. So let's get to this thing. Sharad, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you on board.
Thank you, man. My pleasure.
Yeah, this is actually our second attempt at this. Yesterday we tried it, but Josh hadn't restarted his computer in 2.5 years, so he had some tech issues.
Apparently, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. Sharad, let's just get to this, man. I'm just cutting Brandon off straight up. And by the way, feel free to make fun of him throughout the show.
Nobody likes making fun of me. Like the guests, they don't make fun of me. They make fun of you. Have you noticed that pattern happening?
I have not.
Okay,
I have not.
You watch for
I have
it.
not. Sharad, this is all about you. All right, so let's hear your story, because your story is really interesting. You came to the States, when you were 18 years old from India, right?
Right.
Okay, so tell us how you got started.
So I moved here when I was 18. Moved here from India, came here for school. Can I tell you guys a funny story?
No.
Sure.
Somewhat related to real estate.
All right.
Okay.
Josh will plug his ears. Earmuffs, Josh. Okay.
So when I first moved there, so I'm filling out a college ethnicity form, okay? We don't do this stuff in India. So this is like, okay, I'll fill out name, and then it goes to, then it's asking me my ethnicity. There was a question about, I'm going down the list and I see Caucasian. I have no idea what it is. African American. I'm like, I don't know what that is. And there was American Indian. And I'm like, well, I am in America. I'm from India. So I checked that box. No, wait. And then I'm going down. I went down the list further and I'm like, whoa, there's no American Chinese, no American Japanese. Man, these people must really love Indians. They have a special category for people who come from India. Man, this is awesome. Everybody else gets put in one pool, Asians, and Indians get this special treatment. So I checked that box. 2 weeks later, I get a $5,000 scholarship check. And I had no idea why. And I'm thinking to myself, man, it's about time, these people recognize how smart I am. I did so well on SATs, and I did not realize it for good 9 months. I thought I was American Indian, and I transferred my school after a couple of semesters, and then I was filling out the same form at a different school. But this time the college counselor was sitting next to me, and she's like, wait, you're American Indian? I'm like, duh, I'm from India. I'm in America. Like, what else do you think I am? Do I look like Chinese to you? So she corrected me, and then, I'm like,
And then you sent the $5,000 back, of course, right?
Sure. Yes, that's exactly it.
I don't know how that was real estate related at all, but I love it. That's great.
But probably my favorite Bigger Pockets podcast story so far.
All right, we're off to a good start. So now the pressure is on me to keep it up.
It is.
But anyway, I moved there, got my degree in accounting after changing my major a couple of times. I went to school in New York, by the way.
Where'd you
go? Baruch College, City University of New York. And then I moved to Chicago for my job, and at that time, my girlfriend then, my wife now, moved there. She went to school in Chicago, DePaul University, got a degree in accounting. So, I was working for an Abbott Labs pharmaceutical company. Then I, changed jobs to an accounting firm. I'd always been into, saving money. So basically how I got started was around 2010 is when I bought my first property. My wife and I, we had always saved up money. We'd always lived on lower of the two income. Since she started working, that's what we've always done. Live on lower of the two income, save the higher one. So we had some money.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Yeah, of course.
I just want to know, do you have any tips for people that are out there, a lot of people struggle with saving money a lot, right? And you lived on one income, and you said you always done that, right? Is that something that's culturally that's like ingrained in you, or are you just really good at that, or why are Americans? Why are Americans?
We don't know how to do that.
We're so bad at it. Here, we're so bad at it.
Maybe that's where, me being American Indian comes in. No, but I think it was always the fact that both my wife and I, we've had bigger goals in life. We just don't want to work a corporate job, save money, put it in mutual funds, retire, and then just, live off those savings. We want to do something big with our life. Our goal is much, much larger than, just going through life working a corporate job. So once you have a goal big enough and you're motivated enough, it's not that hard. I mean, my wife and I both luckily have made decent salaries. So living on even the lower of the two income, it wasn't that I was working at McDonald's, shift manager, and she was working a corporate job. Both of us had decent corporate jobs. So it wasn't that big of a deal to live on the lower incomes. It's at the same time, I don't want to give an impression that, we're living like poor people. I mean, we've traveled extensively. We've actually been to 5 continents. We've been to Africa, South America. So we've traveled a lot. But if you have, at the same time, you have to make some sacrifices to achieve a bigger goal in life. And luckily, my wife and I, we're both on the same page when it comes to that. So it's not been that hard, but if you have a bigger goal and you just make that your end goal, that this is what I got to do, everything else gets put on the sideline.
Yeah. Can I dig in a little more on that? I mean, is it about foregoing the quote shiny objects in exchange for those things that, like you take a guy like Brandon, right? He's an addict. The guy can't drive past, one of those little green logos on a coffee shop
with the naked mermaid on the front.
Yeah, the naked mermaid place. Yeah. Like he can't go past the Starbucks without going there. He's addicted to that, right? So, that's a very that's how he chooses to use his money, and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Instead of doing that, buying a big TVs, fancy clothes, things like that. It's this is what we care about. We're going to live on the essentials. We don't care about all this stuff. Let's break it down to its core. What do we actually need to get by with that we're happy and comfortable, and then just kind of move on. Is that it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I drive a 2010 Toyota Prius. I can, at this point in my life, I can pretty much afford any car I want. But Toyota
Bugatti?
Prius, yeah, if I really wanted it.
Yeah, buddy. Come on. Go get it.
Prius gets me from point A to point B, and it's got a navigation system and a backup camera. So it's a loaded car.
I got the 2000. I got the 2007 Prius, so I'm not as cool as the 2010.
I got a 13 Prius C. It's literally like a golf cart with 82 horsepower.
Right.
I could walk faster than it.
Yeah, I mean stuff like I'm not really into cars. I mean, Prius is actually my favorite. I mean, now I'm really into Teslas.
Yeah.
So maybe next car that I get might be Tesla. But Toyota Prius does a job. I mean, I work from home, so I don't really need to drive anywhere. I mean, this is the watch that I'm wearing. My in-laws gave me a gift 6 years ago. Actually, today's my wedding anniversary. Like I told you guys, I still wear the same watch. So
happy.
It's a nice. What was that?
Happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you. So I mean, it's the stuff that I don't really care about. It's just I don't even get excited about that stuff. I like reading books. So my wife said, she wants me to buy something. I said, hey, why don't you buy me a Kindle, with a backlight? I don't know what's that called.
The Paperwhite or something.
The Paperwhite. Yeah,
that's what I asked for Christmas too.
Yeah, I like reading books at night. And my wife, she goes to bed early, and she's like, hey, can you shut off the light? I'm like, hey, why don't you buy me a Kindle White Light, or whatever that's called? And she's like, yeah, I'll be happy to.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's, we haven't really talked about this much, and we haven't even gotten to real estate, but thus far, I think this is the topic of frugality, right? I think it's the topic of not going to the extreme of frugality, but I think it's just being smart with your money and not spending it. I remember when I had some Section 8 properties, and it would always amaze me. I would walk in and occasionally go and hobnob with the tenants, and there's always the big screen, always the brand new shiny shoes and really, really nice clothes, but the mattress in many cases was on the floor, and there were bags of garbage in the back of the house. I mean, it was just the priorities of what you kind of focus on and what you put your importance to are what's going to drive you, right? So if you have that bigger goal of, hey, I want to do something, I want to accomplish this goal of early retirement or saving enough money to do whatever it is that you want to do, you just have to kind of break things down, right? I mean, we don't, at the end of the day, I think we all think that we need a ton of money. I remember when I was, 22, 23, and I was living off of, under 20 grand a year, and I was very comfortable.
Right.
I didn't need any more than that. And I was, I was going out all the time. I was doing stuff. And so I think if we kind of, once you have kids, things change, it gets harder. But
Right.
I think that's kind of an important thing. And for all the people who might be listening or saying like, oh my God, I don't know, it's such a struggle. Stop and break down your life and budget, right? I mean, isn't that the basis for what everything comes from?
Yeah, exactly. I truly believe one thing that separates, a really successful person from somebody who's average is the motivation. It's, if you're motivated enough, you will get anything done no matter what. You just have to have that motivation. People can make, sacrifices. If you really want something badly enough, you'll do whatever you need to do to get it done. It just, there's no other reason. I mean, I really wanted to be financially independent early in my age. Even though I look like 47-year-old, like you guessed yesterday.
You don't, not at all.
But I'm 33, and my wife and I, a couple of years ago, we were financially independent. We did not need to work for anybody. We just we could just sit at home, not do anything. But my wife will just get crazy, kill me.
So, by the way, you don't look a day over, like 38.
22. Oh.
So let's talk about that rental property, or the first property you bought anyway. I don't know if it was rental or not. Let's talk about that first property you bought. How did that come about? What happened there?
The first investment property?
Sure. Let's go first investment property.
The first investment property that I bought was a 2-unit.
Was it what? Okay.
A 2-unit, a duplex in Indiana. I lived in Chicago. Now I live in California, but I lived in Chicago back then, and I'd been interested in investing in rental properties. My wife and I had saved up some money, and then I was reading a lot about real estate, and then around that time, you guys didn't pay me to say this, but I came across BiggerPockets. No jokes, I seriously came across BiggerPockets. If anybody goes to my profile, they can go back to 2010 beginning, is when I became a member, and I bought my first property on August 10, 2010.
Nice.
And I paid cash for it, got it fixed up. Bought the second one September, like 4 weeks later. It was a 3-unit. The first one I paid $22,000 for, and I spent about $13,000. And I rented both the units, and I was getting about $1,300 a month in rent for both of them combined.
Wow.
So that was a pretty good deal. Tenants were paying their utilities. And I mean, I'll be honest, I learned all these things from BiggerPockets. I've never taken any real estate course. The only book that I'd read about was Millionaire Real Estate Investor. So that kind of, gave me an idea what I wanted to do. I didn't get excited about doing flips. I mean, I do some flips now, but back then I didn't see myself as, buying a property, selling it, fixing it up and selling it. It just didn't appeal to me as much as buying something and fixing it up and renting it out. I just wanted to go after passive income. And go ahead.
Can I talk to you about the cheaper prices? So we've been talking a lot lately. I mean, a couple weeks ago we did a show with Ben Leibovich, Brian Burke, and Serge Shukat, and we talked about the dangers of buying a property in a low income area, like a $30,000 area.
Not low income, for inexpensive houses.
Yeah, inexpensive houses. Yeah, inexpensive houses. And so which are, usually but not always found in lower income areas. But, and then I did a video with one of the bonus videos that came with the book on rental property investing that we launched. One of the videos I did was called The Truth About Buying $30,000 Houses. So there's a lot of conversation about this. And you went and bought one of those and you weren't even living there. Can you kind of tell, what are they great cash flowing properties today? Are they going up in value? Kind of tell us about those early properties. What are they like today? And
5 years later, yeah.
Yeah, 5 years later. Do you still recommend them? Do you still buy them?
Yeah, I still buy inexpensive properties, but I moved to a little bit better area.
Okay.
I moved to, I moved to within the same county, just a different city. The area where I invest, it's a small county made up of, 12, 15 cities. So I primarily, focus on 3 main cities. So the first, city where I bought the properties, I would call it a C area. For example, the first property that I bought, I paid $22,000 for it, and I think I spent about 12, 13. So I was all in for about 35. I did 6 months or a year later, I did a cash out refinance. It appraised for $45,000 or $50,000. I got all my money out of it. The second property that I bought, I paid $44,000 for a 3-unit. It needed about $5,000 into it. I put that in, and I think I'm getting about $1,700 a month in rent for it. And it appraised 6 months later for $55,000, $56,000. So I was able to get majority of my money out.
Okay.
Today, and they're still cash flowing. I still own those properties. I'm still happy with them. They make me money every year. I own enough properties where every now and then, a few properties will give you an issue, but it's more of a volume thing than a particular neighborhood per se. I mean, some neighborhood personally are better, but then you take the risk of going into a lower income area. Your risk is going to be higher because you're getting higher cash flow. But as long as you're ready for that, I won't say they've been walk in the park, but they've had some ups and downs. Would I go back and do the same thing again? Absolutely, without a doubt.
Okay,
Got it.
I like hearing that other perspective, because I'm always warning people, be careful with those properties because they can be very dangerous in that, like, you buy a property, yours has a ton of cash flow, right? So imagine you bought that same property, for $22,000, put $13,000 into it. You got 35 into it, and it rented out for $450 a month. Those are the numbers that I hear often, and at the end of the day, those aren't going to cash flow very well. Yours rented for $1,300 a month or $1,600. Like, those are solid numbers. Right.
And then I'll tell you how I did research on the area. I would go drive by the areas. I literally would call the police department, the local police department. I would talk to the sergeant, and I would say, hey, I'm looking to buy this property. What do you guys think? And I would literally ask him, if it were your son or your daughter buying this property as an investment, would you recommend? And I would only buy if they said yes.
Wow, that's a great tip.
Interesting.
That's what I did. I had no idea. When you ask somebody about, I don't, when I'm calling the police department, I don't do that anymore. But when I first started out, I didn't ask them about the crime stats, but I would just ask them when I started asking, the person I was talking to, when I would ask him, hey, would you recommend your son, your daughter, or somebody in your family to invest in this property? And that's when they really think about it. That's when they look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that really helped me. They would tell me, if the price were right, definitely. So that's all I needed to know. If the price were right, the area is fine, and it's been working out really good for me so far.
That's cool.
Awesome.
That's cool. Hey, really quick, you had talked about it being a C area. For those people who don't know, what's an A, a B, a C, really quickly?
A and D are the easiest to define. A would be a high-end area. Like I would say, for example, I lived in downtown Chicago before I moved here. I live in Carlsbad, California. I would call where I was living in downtown Chicago an A area. Where I live now, Carlsbad, California, an A area, School districts are really good. In my case, the average, the starting home prices have been $500,000, $600,000. So those, high income areas. So that I would call A area where everybody wants to live, essentially. D would be where nobody wants to live. They only live because that's the only place they can live. They don't make enough money to live in any other area. There's a lot of gang activity. That's what would be a D area. To me, I define B area as somewhere, B and C would fall somewhere in between A and D. B would be, would I live in that area if I had to? If the answer is yes, to me, that's a B area. If I had to live there, would I be concerned for my safety? If the answer is no, that's a B area. My property manager is a female, so would I be comfortable if she's going after dark to collect the rent? Or, if I had to send my wife after dark to collect the rent, would I feel comfortable about that? If the answer is yes, to me, that's a B area. Not my first choice of area to live in, but I would if I had to. Average school rating is 4 or 5, and C would be, somewhere between B and D, I guess.
Okay.
Fair enough. Cool.
So you talked about you lived in Chicago, and these properties you bought, you said were Indiana.
Yes.
How did you?
30, 45 minutes outside of downtown Chicago.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm
Right.
not familiar with the area that
they're-
much. I
they're
was thinking-
close.
Yeah, I was thinking
Yeah.
like, hours and hours away, but that's not too
No,
bad.
the best way to think of the area, I invest in Lake County, Indiana. Okay. The best way to think of this area as a suburb of Chicago. Like even the
Okay.
local news that they get in this part of Indiana is Chicago news. Like the news that we get in Chicago covers that part of Indiana. So
Okay.
there's a local train that connects. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's like the difference between your house and your town, Brandon.
Thanks. All right. So,
Rural.
I
gotcha.
I still have my office in Indiana. I fly back, at least once a month.
Okay.
I fly to Chicago airport, either O'Hare or Midway, and I go to Indiana. Sometimes I stay there, sometimes I stay with my brother in Chicago, and I just commute every day.
so how did you find that location then? I mean, how did you determine that was the area you wanted to invest in?
I guess kind of that's where the research I did on Bigger Pockets came handy because I wanted to be within 45 minutes to an hour drive from downtown Chicago.
Okay.
I could not go east because I would be in Lake Michigan.
You could. I mean, there might be
Yeah,
real
I
estate out
could,
there
yeah.
somewhere.
West would be northwest would be too expensive. South wasn't safe enough. So I looked at southeast Indiana, and that's kind of how I started looking at it. And I'm like, hey, let me see what's available out there. I mean, at first I didn't even realize how close Indiana was to Chicago. And I would call these agents and I would be like, hey, are you guys on the same time zone or are you guys an hour ahead? Because Indianapolis is, so I just assumed the whole state of Indiana. So that's how I started looking at it. I would go there, after work or, on the weekends, drive around, talk to people, just kind of, made myself familiar with the area. And that's how I got started.
That's cool.
So you talk about calling agents and talking to people.
Right.
What people are you talking to?
I would just literally go to a local grocery store, and just talk to people, corner, convenience store, gas station, call the, police department, ask them about the neighborhood. Just like talk to local people. And I would drive around the neighborhood, just I wanted to feel comfortable. And, if I see a lot of graffiti on houses, a lot of boarded up houses, I kind of stayed away from that area.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. And then the agent part. I mean, was that your strategy for learning the area as well, or was that your strategy for finding deals? Were these deals on market, off market?
Initially, when I first started out, everything I bought was MLS deals. I mean, back then, 2010, 2011, nobody really had cash, and I was buying, cash. Banks weren't lending, so that gave me a little bit of, leg up on other people, where I could just make a cash offer. The first house that I bought was listed for $65,000, and I bought it for $22,000.
Wow.
I started out with $17,500 cash offer. Next, 1 week closing. They came back and for what I did initially was, again, this came from Bigger Pocket. You guys are not paying me for this, but maybe you should. But anyway,
Wait, so really quick, that property was listed at $65K.
Right.
And you had the balls to offer $17,000. Why did you offer $17,000 on a $65,000 property?
Because that's what I thought it was worth.
Okay.
I had cash. I thought, here's, when I first started out, I would buy everything directly through listing agent. I did not have my own agent. I would call listing agents. This is a tip that I found from Bigger Pockets, that you'll get some inside information and the selling agent would have a little bit extra motivation to get the deal done. Because on these houses, they're not really making a lot of money. If on a $2,500, $2,000 commission, if they have to split with another person, they're making $1,000, $1,250. But now all of a sudden, if they can make $2,000 or $2,500, you get a little bit more information, about what's the real motivation, what's their bottom number. And I said, hey, let's start at 17.5. Let's see what they come back at. They came back at 30. I went back to 20. And they came 25. I said 22. Take it or leave it, and they took it.
That's great. I like that tip a
Masterful.
lot. Yeah, I love it. I love that tip you were saying about, if you work with the selling agent instead of having
Right.
your own agent, they get that extra. Now, I mean, technically, legally, they're not supposed to have any added, motivation
Right.
or incentive. They're supposed to present everything equally and fairly and represent the seller. But I mean, come on, we all know that they really. I mean, like it's double the income. So of course they're going to be a little quicker probably to import yours. They got a stack of offers. They're probably going to put yours in first. You know, if the bank, I don't have to ask their opinion, but you know, anyway, they're definitely going to work harder for you because you're using them. I think that's a great tip. You have to be, obviously, your agent that is not necessarily on your side, like, you know, fiduciary, is that the word? Like
fiduciary.
Yeah, they're not technically representing you at all, so you have to be careful, but it can be a good tip to get some good deals.
But I mean, another thing is when I started out first, I had more time on my hand than I had cash available. So I wanted to use my time as much, you know, get the highest rate of return on my time, you know, as much as possible. So I had enough time to deal with the listing. It does create a little bit of extra work for you. I don't deal with listing agents very often. Every now and then, if I know it's a really, really good deal, I'll call the listing agent directly and say, hey, I need to get this deal. Tell me what the number is, put in an offer, you know. But it does create a little bit extra work on your part versus working with the buyer's agent. So I don't do that so much anymore, but when I first started out.
Hey, Sharad, walk me through that conversation. So I'm, you know, you get on the phone, you call a listing agent, say the property is listed at 50K, you think it's worth 30. How do you probe the agent in a way to get that information out of them, or at least you know to find out what the bottom line is for the seller?
I mean, you know, let's say if a house is listed for 50 and I think it's really worth 30, I would say, okay, I'm going to put an offer for 25. What do you think? You know, is it going to go through? Am I in the ballpark? Am I way off? And if they say, no, you know, let's take it and see what the seller comes back with, you know, at least I know I'm somewhat in ballpark. If I go in with 25 where the seller is not going to take anything below 45, they'll say, don't even worry about it. You know, you're just wasting your time. So you kind of get an idea if you're in the same ballpark or not. You put an offer and then, you know, see what the seller comes back at. And then you kind of, you know, the selling agent will come back and say, you know, if you come up a couple of more $1,000 or whatever, you know, I can make it happen with the seller. And then you kind of get an idea, you know, if you're within $1,000, $2,000.
I love this tip. I think particularly for newer investors, I think that it's an outstanding strategy. I mean, particularly because you probably don't have the knowledge at that point to really know if your numbers are in the exact ballpark. You know, you're still learning, you're still trying to figure out your offers, and having that person to be able to kind of flex with you with the knowledge that they've actually spoken to the seller.
Right.
That's really helpful.
Right. I mean, even now, if my buyer's agent will bring me an offer, you know, bring me a listing that I know is really hot deal, I would call my buyer's agent, you know, my agent, and say, hey, call the listing agent, offer them $500 to $1,000 bonus that I'll pay directly to them. You know, just try to get an idea where we need to be on this number. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I've done that too. Now that I have like an agent that I work with a lot, you know, I can't just go and call up a listing agent every time I want to, because then I'm hurting my relationship with my own buyer's agent that he's represented me a lot. So what I do now a lot of times, I'll have my agent call the other agent. I'll be like, hey, Jason, can you call up the agent and just feel them out for a $30,000 offer? Just see what they say. And then he knows the game. He'll call them up and you know, they're buddies because it's a small town and the agents know each other. And he'll get back to me and be like, yeah, I think we're probably pretty good at that point.
Right.
So it's a good way to get around that, even if you have an agent.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, keeping a relationship with an agent is definitely important. But my agent, you know, I think I do about 40, 50 deals with him every year. So if he doesn't get a commission on one deal, he understands, you know, if it's a flip deal, he's going to get it on the back end. But if it's just a rental property, you know, he's not going to kill himself if he doesn't get one deal. Yeah. Over there.
Awesome. How many deals have you done? 40, 50 a year is a lot. So where are you at?
225 to 50.
So, and what's the composition of that? What's buy and holds versus flips?
I would say over 20% buy and hold that I hold in my own portfolio, and 95% of those are free and clear, no loan, nothing.
Okay.
And a big majority of them have been wholesale deals.
Okay.
Wholesale to an overseas company.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then about 15, 20 flips, and maybe 15, 20 turnkey.
Okay. Wow.
Right on.
So you do quite a bit of different stuff with real estate. It's not just anymore, just you're going to buy those rentals. Now you're doing flips, wholesales, you're selling turnkey.
I mean,
if
I, you know, if let's say if I won a $10 million jackpot today, if I would just completely stop wholesaling, flipping, turnkey, I'll just go out and buy whatever I can with that money.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I would do. I mean, I do flips just to use that profit, flip, wholesale, turnkey, just to use that profit to go out and buy properties for myself. That's
Right on.
just what I do.
Can you talk about the wholesaling to the overseas company? I'm assuming you probably have relationships with. I should not assume anything, but yeah, what's the story there?
With the wholesale, it's actually I got introduced to this company. The CFO of that company is cousin of one of my friends, so that's how I got connected. And what they were doing at that point, where they were buying and selling properties to local investors in Australia.
Okay.
So that's how I got connected, and it wasn't, it wasn't. Okay, so I should take it back. The wholesale deals are not per se wholesale. It was more like I was helping them buy properties in the area, and they were paying me profit out of each deal.
Got it.
So it was a minimum profit that I would get. It was the greater or whatever the fee or the profit on each deal. So it wasn't that I was buying a property for 10,000 or 30,000 and selling it to them for 35.
Yeah.
They came with a lot of volume. They said, hey, we'll do 40, 50 deals a year. Just tell us, how much you're going to charge per deal, or, based on the profit.
Interesting.
Right on.
Interesting.
Hey, so really quickly, hundreds of deals. What's your general? Do you have a single criteria for your buy and holds, and different criterias for other strategies that you do, or is there just kind of a general criteria? I'd be curious, kind of what are you shooting for? Are you going for the bread and butter 3-2s? What exactly are you doing?
For buy and hold, the areas where I invest, there aren't many 3-2s. It's mostly 2-bedroom, 1-bath, or 3-bedroom, 1-bath, and so that's what I go for. And even the properties that I'm selling, I buy them myself first, most of them, with my own cash, and I only sell them. I only buy them if I'm comfortable holding them in my own portfolio.
Okay.
So that's my criteria. Would I want to hold it in my own portfolio if I, had the money available? And if the answer is yes, that's the only reason why. Like, for example, I've only sold my B properties. I still hold my C properties because I am more than comfortable, with the ups and downs of a C property, but I don't want an out-of-state or overseas investor to take that risk.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's good, because I think a lot of turnkey providers are selling properties, C and D class properties, to out-of-state areas or out-of-state investors. So I think that's cool.
Yeah. Hey, Sharad. So is that the only thing, properties that you would want to hold? I mean, is there like a per door number or square footage? Do you have other property criteria that you're looking at?
Sure. I mean, like I say, I buy everything cash, so my minimum cap rate should be about 15%. That's what I go for. It should, or in terms of like gross return, for every $40,000 to $50,000, I want to make at least $1,000 a month in rent. That's it. That's just. I mean, everything I buy, now everything that I've been buying for the last couple of years has been a single family house. So I don't pay any utilities. I'm not responsible for lawn maintenance costs or anything like that. So basically, as long as I'm getting for every $40,000 to $50,000, depending on the neighborhood, if I'm getting a minimum $1,000 a month in rent, I'll go for it. Like, just becomes a no-brainer.
Okay.
So you mentioned that you own these rental properties. How many did you say you had?
Over 50.
Okay, so you have over 50 rental properties. You hold them all all free and clear?
I would
most
say
of them?
48 of them.
Wow. Okay, so first of all,
47.
First of all, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
In just the past few years to have 48 properties free and clear. That's amazing. I want a couple questions I want to hit. First of all, how did you do that? Like, meaning, is it because you were flipping and wholesaling, then buying the properties for cash? And then secondly, why do you do that? What's the purpose of not having mortgages on them?
Sure. First of all, how I do that, like I said, it just comes back to living on the lower of the two income. To this day, I still do that, But now at this point, real estate income is, what I make from a real estate is much higher than what my wife is making. She's got a really nice job, 6-figure salary. So it's not like, we're, hurting for anything. But, from real estate, the income is much higher. So we're able to reinvest all the money we make from real estate into just buying more rental properties. So, selling those, not selling, but working with that overseas company, Australian company, obviously that really helped, because in the last 4 or 5 years, I think they've done about 125 deals, 100 to 125 deals. So all that money just got reinvested into more properties for myself.
Okay.
All the money that I make from flips just goes back into more properties. And then why I do that is because I don't want to deal with debt. I have other businesses that I do. I'm working on a startup company. So I kind of want to keep my real estate business as simple as possible. I understand as well as anybody else. I mean, I have an accounting degree. I can go out, I can leverage my properties, have 200-300 units, but I don't want to deal with that headache. I have more than enough properties. I have, even within real estate, I do turnkey, flips, wholesale. So I have more than enough income coming in, where if it's working for me, not having any debt on it, then why do it? Even when somebody goes out, gets debt on the property, their end goal is to pay it off.
Yep.
If I can just have it paid off to begin with, why go get a loan on it?
I love it. I love that you're, there isn't one size fits all. I love that you say you have an accounting degree. You get that maybe leverage will maybe give you a higher return, maybe. But if this is working for you, it fits your plan, what you're trying to achieve.
Exactly.
I love that.
No, I mean, the properties that I'm buying, I can go out, I can leverage it, and I can get all my money out of it. But I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to go through the lending process, dealing with the lenders, because like I said, I'm working on a startup company. My dad and I were thinking of starting, my dad lives in Tanzania. So we're thinking of starting a business in Tanzania. So for me, the most important thing for me is my time. I completely understand. I can get a much higher rate of return on my money, no doubt, but it's my time. I need to use my time as efficiently as possible. I have to get the highest return on my time, and I have to go where I get the highest return on my time.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the time. So, in order to start a business in Tanzania, I can never say it right. Yeah, in Dar es Salaam.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah, I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah, nice. It's supposed to be nice.
Yes.
Yes. You got to do that. You've got a portfolio. You're acquiring 50 properties a year. That's a property a week. What is your role within your own business? So, do you have a full-time property manager? Are you doing management, acquisition? Are you doing everything? How do you fall into your own business?
No, I have a full-time property manager. We actually have two. One property manager manages most of the deals that I did with the Australian company. And then I have another property manager. She's managing all my properties and the investors that I'm selling properties to, the turnkey deals and stuff. So where my role fits in. So I moved to California exactly 4 months ago today.
Okay.
Ever since I moved, I've done about 25 to 30 deals. So my business has actually become better in the last 4 months since I moved there, because I feel, I use technology like crazy. FaceTime, Skype, WhatsApp, you name it. I've made my every contractor get a smartphone. If they will not get a smartphone, I'm not working with them. Mm-hmm. So my contractors have upgraded to, iPhones and Androids or whatever. They would literally call me from a house and they would tell me, hey, this is the issue. What do you want to do? We'll just make a call right then and there. Done. When I was in Indiana, I had an office there. I would go there. I would go drive there, look at the problem, make the same decision, and drive back. Yeah. I would waste half hour to an hour just driving back and forth. And then with me, even though I do all these deals, I don't really care, what plumbing somebody uses, what, fixtures they use. Like now the houses that we do, every house looks the same. Same paint, same flooring, same furnace, same shingle, windows. We don't even make the decision. We have a spreadsheet. We buy everything from Home Depot, more or less. So my guys go to Home Depot. Home Depot has a couple of my credit cards. My guys would go there. All we've told Home Depot is just make sure whoever comes there, you put the job name on the receipt. Don't forget that we have to put the job address on the receipt. So when my bookkeeper gets the information, he knows, which property the receipt belongs to.
Hey, real quickly, I want to go real specific on this. when you go to Home Depot and you're checking out, are you talking about when they ask that, is there a PO name, or you're talking about like writing on the receipt?
No,
and then
like a
faxing
PO
it?
name. So I get all the receipts by email.
Okay.
So I just get all the receipts by email. My bookkeeper has an access to that email. So he would just go there, and then we have Home Depot has set up a back, account also for us where we can log in, and it has all the property information.
Okay.
So we can go in and see which property we bought the material for, and that's it. Like, and they have 2 credit cards on file, and they just call me and they say, hey, which card do you want to put it on? And this is you put it on card 1, card 2. That's it.
Do they have to call you? And I know we're getting really specific here, but
Sure.
I hope this helps other people.
No,
This
this is
definitely
awesome.
helping me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I go to, this is one of the biggest irritations of my business. I don't have a system down for this perfectly yet, and that's why I want to pick your brain. When my contractors go to Home Depot to go buy something, right now they don't actually have a card. I don't give them a card. Right now they have to do a phone call every time. So you're saying you opened up like a business card, and then your contractors have access to that card? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, Home Depot has my card. Like Home Depot, I have the cards. I don't even know where the cards are because I don't use them locally. The only time we use it at a Home Depot. So all they call me is, hey, which card do you want to use? I just give them the last 4 digits. They have the cards on file.
Okay.
I just tell them the last 4 digits. And I mean, the contractors that I work with, I've been working with the same contractors. I trust them. I would not work with them if I did not trust them.
Yeah.
I trust them. If they need to buy anything, they would just call me and say, hey, can I buy this? Use your discount and, you'll take it off my final pay. I'm like, yeah, don't worry about it. Just, put it on a separate receipt, just write here. And then instead of PO name, Home Depot would put their name. So I know, it's not for a job, but it's out of the final payment.
Okay. And are these actually Home Depot credit cards, or are these your own?
Home
credit
Depot.
Okay.
I mean, I have, I work with different investors. I have 2 Home Depot accounts, 2 Home Depot cards, and I have a couple of debit cards on file, depending on, which property or which account I'm paying out of.
Okay. And then your like you said, your bookkeeper then gets it. I love that. I mean, because I've never figured out a good strategy for this. And we go to Home Depot, it seems like at least once or twice a day.
Right.
My contractors are always there. And so, it just becomes a mess. Like, right. A lot of times we've tried things like taking photos of the receipt, but I like that idea. And then giving the bookkeeper access to that and syncs it all. I love that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk with my wife right after this, and we're going to talk.
And you talked about discount. So is Home Depot giving you a discount based on volume, or what's that about?
The volume, yeah.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's through the Pro Desk, right?
Through the Pro Desk, yeah.
Yep.
And they would match any price. Like if I go to them and say I'm getting this price, they would match it.
Yeah, that's a quick tip right there. I mean, like, I think, Sharad, you can go talk to the Home Depot Pro Desk or the Lowe's Pro Desk. Like, those guys have so much more power to do cool things like give discounts and promotions and give you free stuff. I mean, like, I love working with the Pro Desk all the time. And yeah, if you're a landlord, if you're an investor, if you're a flipper, go get to know your Pro Desk.
Yeah, like Home Depot, the guy at Pro Desk, he would text me and say, hey, I have, this thing on saying, like, we buy for our rental properties, we buy the Traffic Master Allure flooring, the cherry flooring,
Yep.
So he called me a couple of weeks ago and said, hey, I have this sale going on. If you buy 10 pallets of it, I'll give you, I think the regular price is $45 a box, something like that. He said, if you buy 10 pallets, I'll give you for $28-30. And I said, yeah, sure, buy it. We'll just leave it there, leave it at the store, and then I'll pick it up. My guys will come pick it up as they need it. And then that's it,
And they let you actually have them hold the inventory for you?
Yeah, we do buy a lot from them.
Yeah.
We do buy a lot. And like, for example, my guy at Home Depot, he would call me. He had, they were doing a liquidation sale of very expensive vanities. Regular price would be $400-500 with, granite top. He said, hey, I'm selling it for $100 each. I said, buy 3. I'll use it on one of my flips. And they held it for 3 months. Just kept it there. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love that. I think that's fantastic.
I mean, another thing we do, I do understand my contractors, my property managers, people at Product, they really appreciate the business. And I appreciate, I would take them out to lunch, I would take my contractors, my property managers, with the guys at Prodesk, when I started working with them, I took the entire Prodesk team out to lunch. I said, let's go for lunch, let's just sit down and see how you can help me and I can help you. Something like that makes a big difference.
That's the power of relationships. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's amazing. It's the little things we, on the episodes where we've kind of dug in on financing and things like that, the guys who are crushing it on that front always talk about the same thing. Hey, create those relationships, take these guys for lunch, take care of them, be good to them, the banks, you name it. And now here we hear the same thing, with whether it's, the big vendors, even the big box stores, sure, they're big, giant corporations, but you're dealing with the individuals at the company. And so creating those relationships with those people we're going to make them remember you and want to take care of you.
Can I tell a quick story about relationship?
Only if it's as funny as the first story, where
it's not funny, but it was very profitable for me. But I'll tell you a funny story to begin with. The first property I ever bought before my investment property was a condominium, that my wife and I lived in. So going back to New York, when I first moved there, so I'm walking down, I was living in Brooklyn at Brighton Beach. Nice. So I'm walking down the beach and I see all these buildings have a sign condominium. And I had no idea what it meant. We call flats in India. We don't know what, I don't know what condominium was. So I was walking down the beach and I'm thinking, holy crap, man, this company condominium, they are so freaking filthy. They own every single building on the beach, on prime spot. Then I noticed some buildings in Manhattan, downtown New York had signed condominium. And I'm thinking, man, if I graduate from college and if I can get a job with condominium, I'll be so freaking happy that they own every single or most of the real estate buildings on prime spot. Nice. Every building on Brighton Beach had a signed condominium. I'm like, man, freaking how do they own? I've never heard of them.
That's hysterical.
But that's the company I'm going to work for.
It's even funnier that you were living in Brighton Beach.
Yeah, that was interesting experience.
It's a very I don't know if it still is, but it used to be a very Orthodox Jewish neighborhood.
It was. Yeah, I moved there in 2001, so very interesting experiences around 9/11. But
yeah.
But I won't get into that. But anyway, going back to the story about relationship. So most of the deals that we do, we work with one title company. And in some cases, I really appreciate the business that I do with them. For Fannie Mae or HUD deals, sometimes, they would want to use their own title company. But we've had, in some cases, we've paid for the seller's closing cost just to keep relationship with this title company. So that's how much we appreciate the business with them. I think we've done most of the deals that we do. Everything that I'm selling has to be with that title company. That's just no exception about that. It has to be, otherwise the deal is off. So I'd been working with this title company. Again, it comes down to relationship management. I knew this title company, every time they would help me out with something, the lady that I work with, I would go, I'd go with a bottle of wine, I would email her an Amazon gift card or, some gift card or something. So last year, 2014, she calls me and she's like, hey, Sharad, this lender wants to liquidate some deals and I think you should talk to him. I'm like, okay, local bank. So I called this guy and he said, I'm selling 18 houses. Would you be interested? I said, hell yeah, I would take all 18 of them. 7 of them were in a D area. So I called my agent and he said, hey, can I take them? I said, sure. In hindsight, I could have made $50,000 on those 7 houses. But anyway, that's, it is what it is. And my agent just bought me a $200 dinner. But so I gave those 7 deals to my agent, and the other 11 deals, I brought zero money to the table. Out of those 11 deals, 2 were flips, and the other 9 were rental properties. A buddy of mine, he said, I'll take 4, okay? And then I said, okay, I'll take the other 5. The profit, and then he said he was going to put all the money and I was going to pay him back in a year. So the deal closed on June 26, 2014. The money that I made from those 2 flips more than paid for the other 5 rental properties that I kept for myself.
Wow.
And this would have never ever happened if it were not for that relationship.
Yeah.
And what had happened was the bank that I bought the properties from, they had acquired another bank. So that's how they got in, they had 18 properties in their inventory. And after that deal closed, I sent a bottle of wine to the person I was dealing with at the bank. Now he just calls me directly anytime he has any property. He doesn't call anybody else. Like, he just emailed me last week. He said, hey, I have this guy. He's looking to sell 18 houses. We are the lenders, and I'm calling you. Would you want to buy this portfolio for $1.8 million? I said, yeah, if the numbers make sense, I'll figure out to buy it. So now he put me in touch directly with the seller. That was just with the relationship. And now it makes a huge, huge difference. Like, even when, I fly to Indiana once a month. The only reason I go there is to buy more properties. That's it. So when I go there, I make sure the title company that I'm working, if I'm closing with them, I'll just go take a, nice bottle of wine, or, email them a gift card, stuff like that. Just, sit down with my property managers, my contractors, and that makes huge, huge difference. My contractor, he, 2 or 3 contractors that I work with, they appreciate the business. They tell me that you're helping me make money, you're helping provide food for our family, so we'll just do whatever you need to do to make money.
Yeah. Moral of the story is get everybody drunk with bottles of wine.
Exactly. And send them an Amazon gift card later on.
There you go.
There you go. No, I love that. I remember back on the show we did with Glenn Schwarm back in the day. It was like one of the early episodes. He talked about how he sends his like title company and bankers and everybody like these
like
big
brownies.
like brownies, and every time like, and he said like those relationships just are so solid. So I've done a little bit of that. I haven't quite done as much as I should be doing, but I don't know. This is renewing my interest in that. All right, before we go to the fire round, I want to ask you one last question. Is you're buying? You said you bought 30 some deals just since moving to California.
Yeah, about 25, 30.
Okay, yes. I mean, that's crazy. Are you finding all those still on the MLS, or do you guys have other ways of finding deals now?
MLS, and then the lender, he calls me every now and then. He would have a deal here or there, and then I buy a lot from sheriff sale.
Okay, so you're buying
auction.
Okay, interesting.
A lot from auction, like 3, 4. 3, 4. We try to buy 3, 4 every month at auction.
Wow, and are you actually having to go there, or is it online?
Who goes?
Yeah, that's what I go for.
Oh, okay. So when you
I go there first Friday of every month. That's what I go for. Yeah.
You're the second person or third, maybe even in the last couple of months here on the show that have been buying their deals from that. I really need to look more into that because I don't do a lot of that. So that's cool.
Right.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, why don't we shift gears here over to the world famous fire round?
It's time for the fire round.
All right, the fire round. These questions come straight out of the Bigger Pockets forum. So let's fire them at you, Sharad.
Okay.
Number 1. Let's see. Number 1. Should I pay $30,000 for a mentor program? That was a question. It was trending today on the forum. Should I pay $30,000 for a mentor program?
I would not.
Why?
What can a mentor teach you that you cannot learn online? I would not. I mean, I don't know why. If the mentor is giving some insider information, then that's a different story. But I can only tell people what I did. I did not the only really real estate book that I read was Millionaire Real Estate Investor. That kind of gave me an idea what I wanted to do with my real estate strategy.
Yeah.
I've never taken any real estate course, none whatsoever. Everything I learned was from Bigger Pockets. Everything real estate related. So why would I tell anybody to spend $30,000 when we go buy a house?
There you go. I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. Cool. All right, next question. Paying off student loans or start investing. All right, so if I've got a bunch of student loans, should I pay them off, or should I use the money that I would put towards paying those loans off towards investing in real estate?
See, it's a tricky question. If a student loan is at 2-3% and you can make more investing in something, then again, mathematically makes sense to go out and do investment. When I graduated, I had like $2,000 in credit card debt. I had, scholarships and stuff. So, I didn't have a student loan. My wife, she was on a scholarship. So she didn't have any student loan. So, and I buy everything cash. I have a couple of properties with debt on them, but everything else is free and clear. I mean, mathematically, definitely, if you're paying 2-3% on student loan, and if you have money to either pay off or go out and buy properties, mathematically it makes sense to just go out and buy properties because your rate of return will be 3-4 times more what you're paying in interest. But I mean, again, I'm not doing that myself, but if somebody is disciplined enough, they invest in a good property where they know they're going to make money, then it makes sense to do that.
Perfect. Cool.
Oh,
Brandon?
it's mine again. Oh,
It is.
All right, number 3.
Wow, somebody was sleeping at the wheel.
I know. I was on mute. All right, buying a rental property. I like this question. I never even thought about it. Should I buy a rental property next door to a gas station?
I don't own anything next to a gas station, but if somebody offered me a deal where the numbers make sense, would I buy it? Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it just comes down to numbers. If the numbers make sense, I'll buy it. I mean, if I'm buying similar houses in the area for, my cost is whatever, let's say $100,000, and if I can buy this property for 30, 40, yeah. And if I can get similar rent, because the tenants won't care so much about a gas station next door, but a home buyer would be concerned about that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool.
All right, last question. I can't find any deals. What do I do?
You're not looking hard enough, I guess. If you talk to wholesalers in your area, make relationship with agents, go to sheriff sale, go to these auctions, look online on sites like auction.com, and there are a couple of other websites. You will find the deals, but deals will not be as good as what they were 2-3 years ago. So, there are still some decent deals out there, but you just got to look much, much harder in this today than you could a couple of years ago.
Right on.
Cool. All right, I love
Excellent.
it. Good answers. So before we get out of here, let's move one last time over to the
We haven't done that probably in 120 something episodes.
probably.
Oh, I feel special, man.
Yeah.
You should. You are special. It's not true what they say about you.
You sound like my mom now.
She paid me to say that.
She did. All right.
Thanks, Mom.
All right. So these are the famous 4 questions. We ask everybody this, and you've heard it before, I know. So let's see what you have to say. Number 1, I think I know what you're going to say since you've only read one real estate book.
Yeah.
What is your favorite real estate book besides the book on rental property investing that we launched? A couple weeks ago?
Shameless plug.
Those are in a class of their own.
Okay,
so
good.
Those are definitely on a pedestal. I worship them every day.
Good. You don't
when I
even,
get up.
you don't even count them as real
No,
estate
you know
books.
what
They're
I'm
just
going to
better
do
than
with
that.
those?
What are you
I'm
going
going
to
to
do with them?
sell them 10, 15 years from now as collector item.
Oh, okay, good. Good. You got one of the early copies, I'm sure. All right.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
So other than those 2 books that we released a few weeks ago here at biggerpockets.com/rental book, what else is your favorite real estate book?
Millionaire Real Estate Investor.
By Gary Keller.
Nice.
Yes.
Good book.
Man, I had to compete with that guy now.
Yeah.
No, but again, you're in a different class.
Yeah, different class.
Yeah. Like
Yep.
after your book, what would I read? Sure, why not? Millionaire Real Estate Investor.
Okay, that's what I thought.
There you
Good.
There you go. Nice. All right. What about business book? You sound like the kind of guy that likes to read some business books. What are you into these days?
I love reading biographies, autobiographies. I don't like reading like how-to books. They never appeal to me because I have a little bit of ADD and then I get lost. Stories hold me, really interested. I'll tell you the one that really, really changed the way I started looking at my business was Start Something That Matters by, what's his name? Blake Mycoskie. He's the founder of Tom's Shoes.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know the story. For every pair of shoe that they sell, they donate one.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
So I've started doing that with my business. For every house that I sell, I provide education for a kid in India from 1st to 12th grade.
Wow.
I
How do you
mean,
do that?
Like what do you mean? How do I do that?
I mean,
it like a charity or something?
what does it
no,
cost?
I pay directly to the school.
Wow.
So cost per year would be about $500 to $600, and I pay for 12 years.
Wow.
Wow.
All right. I mean, I'll tell you, for me, the best gift I ever got was my parents gave me education.
Yeah.
Hands down. To me, food, clothing, shelter, education are the 4 necessities. I mean, that just changed my entire life. And if I can help even one kid just get out of poverty or, just get to middle class. I mean, nothing will make me happier. So that book, definitely, that's the only book. I bought it. I remember I bought it 11 at night, stayed up till 4, read 75% of it, went to sleep, got up next morning at like 9, finished the entire book within like 6, 7. That's the only book that I read in less than 12 hours.
Wow.
Definitely changed.
I gotta pick that one up.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Well, that's amazing, man. I mean, really, it's you're a good guy.
Thank you.
Good guy. Yeah. This got all serious.
Not sure what Josh says about you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like
Can't use my line and screw with it.
There has to be, I don't know, to me, there has to be a bigger purpose in life. To me, for me, I've just, if I can do something for kids, especially for me, if I can do something for kids, nothing will make me happier.
Right on. Cool. What do you do for fun?
I mean, I love spending time with my family, but lately I've been taking boxing classes. So, I go there 3 times a week. That's what I do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Should challenge him, Brandon.
Yeah, you
Boxing.
go right
I'm
now.
shaking my head, and people can't hear that. The rocks rattling around in there.
Yeah.
No, I just go there to just kind of get some exercise.
Cool.
Yeah, you seem like you'd be I don't know. I don't want to take you on. You'd beat me up.
I'm horrible. I'm being honest, I'm horrible at boxing, but it gets me a good exercise.
Yeah,
Right on.
that sounds cool. All right.
Yeah.
My last question of the day, and the last of the famous 4. What do you believe sets apart those successful investors from all those others who give up or fail or never get started?
Motivation, like a big why motivation. That's just, if your why is strong enough, no matter what the issues, you'll get over it. Just that's it. I mean, I love reading these, like I said, biographies, autobiographies. When you read them, you're like, man, just these people can do so much. I'm reading about Elon Musk, the guy, Tesla.
Yeah.
I mean, then, you read about these guys, and then you're like, man, I mean, these people are doing a lot, then you definitely get the motivation. I mean, they were motivated to do something big with their life. So yeah, definitely a big motivation will make you get over any obstacle in life.
Right on. By the way, I don't know if you know this website. It is probably my favorite website next to Bigger Pockets. It's called Wait But Why. Have you ever read it?
No.
Okay, so Wait But Why. The guy writes these just ridiculous novel-esque articles that are 5, 10, 20,000 words on all sorts of topics. And he, of course, is obsessed with Elon Musk, and has written some incredible articles on how and why SpaceX will colonize Mars. Elon Musk, the world's raddest man, how Tesla will change the world are some of them, and they're amazing reads and like totally motivating.
Right,
it's a mostly sciencey type of site, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, for sure.
Wait, but why?
Yeah.
Wait, but why?
Wait.
All right, so before we let you go, we gotta find out where people can find out more information about you. Obviously, you are on Bigger Pockets, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming that is one place.
Yeah, I haven't been as active as I would like to be. But yeah, Bigger Pocket, people do message me a lot on Bigger Pockets, and I make sure I respond to that. And then they can go to my website, and then again through Bigger Pockets.
What's your website?
maxpropertiesllc.com.
Cool. Finally, before I let you go, for those people who are listening but not watching this on YouTube, we typically launch the YouTube versions of our shows a few weeks later. There's a whiteboard behind you. What does it say on that whiteboard there, Sharad?
Podcast number 155. So now you got to keep it at 155. Don't push me back or front. Unless you think 156 is going to get more views, then I'll be okay. Josh and Brandon asked me to shut off my phone and mind for this podcast. The mind part was much easier than the phone.
Good.
And then camera makes you look 5 years older, and I have 3 cameras on me right now.
Yeah, yesterday when we recorded this, Josh said, so let me guess how old you are, Sharad. Is it what did it say, 40, 45?
Yeah, 46 is
46.
the highest number I remember.
Really? Are you really? You guys are calling me out.
And you are, what, 33? So
30.
I'm already
just
embarrassed by it.
turned 33, not even a month ago. So I'm just getting over that 32. So more like 32 plus.
I'm really sorry.
That's okay.
It's mea culpa.
Yeah.
Oh, why are you sorry? It's okay. I know I look old. That's why I put that sign so people don't mistake me.
It's the camera.
It's the camera. Exactly. It's the
all
camera.
the camera, yeah.
If you meet me in person, like, whoa.
I thought you were 7. And Native American. I mean,
Yeah, apparently.
No, American Indian.
American
American
Indian.
Indian.
Get it
There's,
right.
there's a
yeah,
difference.
I was really confused when I saw you
There's
in
a
person. It
difference.
was
Not
great.
American
Hey,
Chinese.
Sharad, it's been a pleasure, man. Really, really, it has. Great show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Sure. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll see you around.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. That was Sharad. What an awesome guy.
Yeah.
Very motivating. Unbelievable. Hundreds of deals, 50, give or take, rental properties, free and clear. I mean, like, oh, by the way, Brandon,
Yeah.
5 years.
5 years. 5 years.
5
Amazing.
years.
I've been doing this
Oh.
twice as long, and he's dominating me.
One more thing.
What?
One more thing. I mean, but because you like to do things like plug this book that you wrote or this other book that you wrote or
Like
this
the book
other
on rental property investing and managing rental properties at biggerpockets.com/rental book. That okay,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
no
Well,
money at biggerpockets.com. There's no
Right.
money. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't help yourself. Verbal diarrhea. You have a problem. So
I'm taking medicine for it. Don't worry.
This guy learned it all from Bigger Pockets. That's so cool. I mean, it makes me feel so good. It just reinforces that this community is so special. And anyway,
Josh,
I'm pumped.
Josh?
It feels great. Yes, sir.
I'm going to say a group from everyone listening. Thank you for Bigger Pockets.
Oh,
I don't know if I've ever said that, but thank you
no,
for Bigger
you
Pockets.
haven't. You've always been a jerk with
No, I
nasty,
know.
smart ass comments. and like
No, because I would not be where I am today without the stuff I learned on Bigger Pockets. I mean, I don't know if I'd have any properties because my parents had told me that I shouldn't invest in real estate when I first started, and they said I was crazy. And the only reason I did is
They also said you were ugly, right?
that too, but that doesn't change. So they said that I should not invest in real estate, and then I went online and I found out that there were people doing this on a site called Bigger Pockets, and that's how I started. So
Amazing. Well,
thank you, Josh.
Thank you, man. That was very, very kind of you. I'm gonna go cry now.
Okay, tear up.
Go cry. All right. Well, anyway, thank you guys for listening. We really, really, really do appreciate it. And if you guys are enjoying the content that we're putting out, please jump on iTunes, leave us a rating and review. We need more. We have only got like 1,700 ratings and reviews, and we have like 60,000 listens per show.
We had a goal that we were going to try to get 2,000. I remember saying at the beginning of the year, we were trying to get 2,000 reviews by the end of the year, which means we need like 400 reviews today.
Yeah.
So if we're going to hit that goal, guys, that's what we
Please,
had. 400
let's do
reviews
it.
today.
Yeah.
I think we could do it. I mean, there's 60,000 people listen to these shows.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And
It takes like 2 minutes.
Yep.
And so, yeah, go to iTunes, go to the Bigger Pockets podcast and jump in and leave us a rating review, preferably 5-star, of course. But yeah, that would be awesome. And otherwise, get on Bigger Pockets, hang out with guys like Sharad, who's rocking it and available to hang out and answer your questions. Otherwise, go to biggerpockets.com/show155 to check out the show notes and connect with Sharad. So big thanks. And
hey, Josh,
Happy New Year.
I'll see you next year.
Yeah, man. All right. I'm Josh Dorkin, signing off. May all acquaintance be.
I don't know the words.
Is this where we kiss?
You're listening to Bigger Pockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.